Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Managing Madrid Podcast here in Madrid, live from Euan McTear's home. It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to move this mic out of the way. That's better.
Yeah, perfect.
So we're recording this just after Real Madrid beat Osasuna 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
And what was, I won't lie, a really fun game to be at.
Yeah.
We played really well. Dominated. Second half was pretty much, we blew the game open with that first goal.
Yeah.
Second half was much more easy. There was more space to work with. And, of course, we ran up the scoreline. And Jude Bellingham continues to score at a rate that we factually haven't seen since Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
So this is the greatest start to a Real Madrid career since Cristiano Ronaldo in 2009.
In terms of goal scoring. But remember,
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo was a forward. Jude Bellingham is not in theory. So
But he is playing as well.
He is. But he's even not like Cristiano was. Like, we do have to take it with a pinch of salt when people say he's a midfielder scoring 10 goals, and take it with a pinch of salt when comparing him to Cristiano Ronaldo. Like,
Sure.
he's somewhere in the middle between a striker and a forward, and it's insane to have 10 goals after 10 games. And at that point, Cristiano Ronaldo had 1 assist, Bellingham has 3. So technically, if this was a golden boot, they sometimes go to assist as a tiebreaker, so he'd maybe even edge the tiebreaker, which is incredible.
I never want to downplay Cristiano Ronaldo because that's a silly thing to do with one of the greatest players of all time. But I just do feel like what Bellingham has to do right now is quite, I'm not even comparing him to what Cristiano Ronaldo had or hadn't. Just this in the vacuum.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. As Sam Leverage was writing about on our website after the game, it's not just that he's stat padding goals. His goals have been consequential. Game winners, the team desperately needs them. Big Champions League goals, big La Liga goals. Today he opened the scoring with the first 2 goals. His goals have been super important. And you think back, like now it looks great. Momentum is good. Morale is good. You think back to those early La Liga games, even Getafe at the Bernabeu on the opening Bernabeu game.
Yeah.
I wonder if Real Madrid win title this season. La Liga, for example, if we'll look back on those and how important those goals were when the team was struggling to find its feet. It was early on. There still wasn't no cohesion. You're trying to adapt in the post-Benzema era. His goals have just been so important to the team.
No, absolutely. You'll get bored of me telling you this because I say this every time we talk after a La Liga game. The 3 points in October are just as important as 3 points in May. You drop 3 points.
So every game is a final.
Every game is not a final. There are 38 games of 3 points, and that's a league season. Still not a final. But, it's quite normal, and it would be easy, and people would give Real Madrid the excuse of it's a new system, trying to find their feet, new player, Bellingham, Ancelotti, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they maybe draw one of the 3 away games that they started the season with. It wouldn't have been an absolute disaster. But those 2 points might cost them the league in May. They didn't drop any of those points because Bellingham has been scoring all these goals. You look at Real Madrid start the season, and losing to Atletico in the derby hurts, but apart from that, they've won every single game. They have maximum points apart from the 3 dropped in the derby. That hurts, but I think you asked most Real Madrid fans before the season, this is better than people thought. This is better than people thought to have. How many points is this? This is 24 points from 9 games, I think. I think everyone would have signed up for that. No one expected that. People were doomsday scenarios, terrible season, Benzema's left, we didn't get Mbappe, Ancelotti's old, Bellingham's come in, but is he really that good? Yeah, he is that good.
Courtois got injured, Militao got
exactly,
injured.
It was, no one expected it to be this good, and Bellingham is the right reason. You're right, it's not stat padding, it's, there haven't been that many stat padding opportunities, apart from today. There's been every game, even the wins have been close. The Champions League ones have been by 1 goal, most of the La Liga wins have been by 1 or 2 goals, and even today when there was a stat padding opportunity, well, he got the first 2, so he got the 2 that really set the ball rolling. So yeah, you can't say enough good things about him. One stat I looked at, I was curious about this. I was like, where does he rank in Real Madrid's all-time goal-scoring charts? Because he's probably already higher than we think. 768 players have played for Real Madrid 1 game in the history of the club over 100 years.
Yeah.
Guess where you think Jude Bellingham is? Which category? Am I remembering?
I read your article, so I know.
Okay,
but it was pretty surprising.
151st out of 768. and he made his debut less than 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's like we haven't seen this since Cristiano Ronaldo, and Cristiano Ronaldo was like unseen. That was a unicorn. Turns out there's two of them.
The question is like, again, I hate comparing anyone to Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's not what I'm doing right now. But obviously Cristiano Ronaldo went on to do like 50 goals a year for like a decade.
Exactly.
So Bellingham is 11 games in with the Champions League, I think. But it is interesting, like, after almost every single match day, we ask the question, can he sustain? Can he sustain? Can he sustain? But the fact that we're still asking the question means he's sustained it so far. And again, why can't he sustain it? Because he's not going to stop getting into goal-scoring positions. No. He's a great finisher. Why can't he? The funny thing is, like, even if you're a striker, these numbers are not ordinary. Like,
you compare it to like the strikers around Europe, Haaland and the likes.
Yeah.
He's even ahead of them in terms of goals this season, the rate of scoring this season.
Yeah. I think you wrote about it after the game. I can't remember because I read your article and I read Sam's article, so I may jumble it. But I think it was you that wrote that our record against Osasuna is...
This might have been Sam, but like go with it because I might know anyway. The record against Osasuna is an interesting one, yeah.
In my head, this is always a team that is so difficult to play, especially if you have to go to El Sadar. We've had to play them in the Copa del Rey final last season, and then in the last 2 years, Ancelotti pointed out in the pregame press conference that they've taken points at the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
But we actually haven't lost to them in 12 years, I think it was.
That's right.
Which kind of surprised me. And I was looking at the game today, and they didn't put up much of a fight. From start to finish, it was pretty much domination. And you look at it at halftime, I don't think Real Madrid were like creating a million great chances, but it just felt in control. Like, you even think about Budimir, who has given us problems in the past. Great aerial threat, previously from Mallorca, now with Osasuna, and there were a couple.
Missed a good chance just before half time. Like, I think like literally the last kick of the first half. Yeah, I mean the record with Osasuna is interesting because like Real Madrid usually end up beating them, but it's always a tough game. They always give you a tough game. They drew the last two that they went to the Bernabeu. It's a tough team, and yeah, the first half was kind of the same. Like at half time, I was looking around Marca, and the headline of Marca at half time was goal from Bellingham and siesta. Like that was it. Like Real Madrid kind of took their foot off the gas towards the end. Osasuna came into it. At half time they were going off, and they had a quick post half time interview, and from Osasuna they were like, yeah, we're in this game. And then second half, Bellingham comes out, they go 2-0 down, and it's over. And I think that's something that Real Madrid, whether it's against Osasuna or teams like Osasuna, it's rare that they win 4-0 at the Bernabeu. I think we've spoken about this before. Like, fans want to see
goals.
The kind of victories that sometimes Barcelona give their fans at home when it's just like 5-1, 6-1, stuff like that. We're going to just put a team to the sword today. At the end of the day, it's still 3 points. And Real Madrid, more often than not, these kind of games, they finish 2-0. Like the Las Palmas one you were at the other day. That one is the kind of game where you could go on and you could really put up on a show, rack up the score, but Real Madrid tend to just take their foot off the gas. We get the 3 points. We don't worry about putting on a show. And for fan, at the end of the day, I mean, La Liga, we have to remember it's not goal difference that it comes down to at the end of the season. It's your head-to-head if you're level on points. But fans want to see games like this. I'm sure you noticed coming out of the Bernabeu today that 4-0, like, people are just a lot more excited at seeing 4 goals instead of a 2-0. And it doesn't really matter, but it matters to the fans. So it's good that they can put a team like Osasuna away 4-0 and not just the siesta that they were sort of heading towards at halftime, where at no point did Osasuna really look like winning, but this didn't look like a 4-0 at halftime.
No, it didn't. And again, the second half, like if you look at, I was looking at the XG chart on the way here, and it spikes at halftime. Like we had almost 5 XG according to Understat. I think another publication had it at 3 point something. It may have to do with the penalty, but at halftime it just spikes. The first half was all about control and possession and getting into good zones. The second half was just Osasuna had to open up.
Yeah.
They weren't defending as well, and we have great players in transition to take advantage of that. And of course, right from the get-go, Jose Luis scores. Osasuna give the ball away. He pounces, left-footed shot goes far post. Something we didn't talk about, which we should have started with, was we were kind of keeping an eye on who starts at center back alongside Rudiger. It was really down to Mendy and Tchouameni.
Yep.
a lot of people theorize like, okay, maybe you get one of the Castilla guys. Ancelotti put that to bed in the pregame press conference. He said it's Mendy or Tchouameni, and it turned out to be Tchouameni. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, like, I really couldn't have guessed. Like, we basically explained on Friday it would be one of those two. Honestly, I had no idea who he would go for. I think Mendy, maybe I was leaning towards. You know, like, you could have Mendy and Fran Garcia together, and you know, it could maybe work. But Tchouameni, yeah, why not? I mean, the bigger concern I have with putting Tchouameni there, and this happened when you used to move Casemiro out of position, was not only are you having Tchouameni at centre back, which is a bit of a problem, but that's a problem you have to have with anyone. You're losing Tchouameni at defensive midfield.
Yeah.
This is what happened when they moved Casemiro around. Is like, okay, Casemiro can help you there, but you're losing Casemiro in central midfield. You could put Mondi there and put Fran Garcia alongside him, and you're not really losing Mondi. You still have Tchouameni. So that was the only thing I had there, and then we'll get to Camavinga. I don't think this was his best game, having to replace Tchouameni basically. But Tchouameni did fine. I mean, there was a few ups and downs, yellow card, a couple of moments in the first half he got beat. He's not a centre-back. Like, I think we often give players a pass when they're out of position. As you say, with centre-back, we give them 2 passes because I think apart from goalkeeper, centre-back is the most specialised position in football. Like, you can play at full-back. Like, you can play as a strike. Like, most of these players have played in all these kinds of positions going up through the youth academies. Centre-back, I think, is the most specialised one, after goalkeeper, obviously. So to come through this with a clean sheet and a good job, like he did well, like a B+ centre-back performance, like, you know, hats off. Like, that's not easy.
Yeah, also I was telling Lucas before the game, if there's any game that you have an emergency at centre-back and you need to try Tchouameni there, it's at home against a team like Osasuna, and thankfully not at the Camp Nou at the end of the... Yeah. I always say Camp Nou, but it's not the Camp Nou, but you know what I mean.
Although, just to keep in mind, Rudiger got his 4th yellow card.
Yes.
He's 1 game away now from a suspension. Natural suspension is 3 games. Alaba should be back. We don't quite know, but we should see him back. Let's see. There might still be a centre-back problem in a couple games, which just happens to be the Clasico.
And you can't really drop Rudiger. Like
no, you can't rest him.
You can't.
No.
We don't have that luxury.
It's Sevilla away next leg.
The thing is, Ancelotti said after the game, like, I don't tell my players, you know, that you have yellow card, be careful and stuff.
Yeah, and I like that. You shouldn't. Yeah. Like, I mean, you should a bit. Like, they should know. Like, don't,
they should have. It should be in their back of their mind. Like, you remember when Xabi Alonso picked up the yellow card before La Decima? I mean, you were probably happy about that.
Just like in the final.
In the semi-final against Bayern, he was 1 yellow card from missing the final. The game was like 3-0 and he picked up like that and those situations.
I thought you meant the one. What was the one with Mourinho where he got like
not the intentional one.
And it was like, come on, be subtle.
That reminds me, maybe he should have. No, you can't. You can't. Like you can't miss a game before Barca because you don't have the luxury.
No.
So.
And Nacho's still suspended, and Alaba will probably miss Austria, but like not be 100%. So do you really want Alaba? Like, it's just, you know, this all goes back really to when Militao got injured in the transfer window. They should have signed someone. Like, you know, they'd let Vallejo go. Fine, you need to replace Vallejo, not replace Militao. They didn't replace Vallejo, and now we're at the point where, you know, and it goes back as well then to Nacho's challenge, which I still think was like ridiculous, not becoming of a Real Madrid captain.
Yeah, that killed us.
And you know, you saw people after that. Oh well, Alaba will be back. Never mind, but also like he's not, and who's to say he'll be back at 100% for Sevilla and Barcelona? So it's a bit of a situation. I think Rudiger is smart enough, able enough to get through without a yellow card, but sometimes you can't help it. Like, you can try your best not to get a yellow card. You can't help it. So we might see Tchouameni
You know
back.
That's going to be in the Sevilla scouting report. Get under this guy's skin.
Oh yeah.
Well, I agree with you about should have probably signed someone, or maybe not have let Vallejo go. But I also wonder, like, really, like, probably not let Vallejo go would have been the better option. But like, it's hard to sign someone. To be fair. I say that only because, like, in Ancelotti's eyes, he'll have this 4th choice center back that he may or may not use unless it's an emergency. And let's say, for example, you go into the Camp Nou with that problem. Is Ancelotti going to trust that fourth choice center back, or is he just going to put Tchouameni there? Like, serious question. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we've run into this problem a lot before. Like,
I mean, we've seen it with left back with Camavinga that he prefers maybe like one of his guys out of position than trusting one of the youth team guys, because remember the Camavinga at left back thing started with all the left backs were injured.
Yeah.
Now it's become a thing where even when they're not injured, he'll still play them there. So
yeah.
No, that's a good question. I don't know if he would actually trust the fourth choice centre back for a Clasico, but yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get to that. Rudiger gets through Sevilla and then he can play and get booked in the Clasico and miss whatever game is next. Fine, no problem. But this is going to be a talking point and something. The tightrope, the famous tightrope that is proper football parlance. We never speak about tightropes when it's not a player on 4 yellow cards.
Well, the tightrope, I think, will not go.
Is out.
It'll not go away all season. Like, even when Alaba comes back.
Yeah, someone's always going to be close to suspension.
Yeah. And it's already thin. So, naturally, injury suspension is going to be thin. You kind of preface it by bringing it up with the Tchouameni playing center back and the dominoes. Obviously, like I think part of the pairing was that, and why Ancelotti opted for Tchouameni instead of Mendy is because if he loses Tchouameni in midfield, he wants someone to be taking care of the defensive side of things in midfield at DM, so he puts Camavinga there.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're left with Mendy or Fran Garcia. And Fran Garcia, which you wrote about, maybe has lost a bit of trust right now.
Yeah.
But Camavinga plays DM. I don't remember how many times he's played there in the last year or so. The one I remember clearly in my mind was at Anfield against Liverpool, which he was fantastic. But I think he's like less comfortable under pressure from the DM position than he is at left back or center midfielder. I don't know what it is with him, but we saw it today. Like, he just has given the ball away several times from that position.
Yeah.
And that's something he has to work on if he's going to play there more. Yep. But it's weird. Like, I was watching film for a column before the game started, and I was looking back at that Girona game, which was the first game he played the left back position. And under pressure, he's like just dribbling past multiple players. He did the same thing against Napoli. He just seems more comfortable under pressure at the left back spot. Yeah,
I think as well at left back, there's less risk. You know, you lose the ball there, maybe it goes out for a throw in, maybe you lose it in a slightly less dangerous position. It's less obvious when you lose it. Where he loses it in defensive midfield, it can lead to a goal. It can be so obvious. You can get so criticised, and that's surely in your mind as well when you're evaluating whether to take a guy on or not. I think the sad thing for him is that he's just so versatile, so good, can play everywhere. He gets put in positions, different positions. It's not so much that he can't play DM, he can't play left back, he can't play this. No, he can play all these positions and well. But please, let's just put him in one position for like a few games in a row. So I went and looked at this for part of the free things, free questions, free answers today. How many games has Camavinga played? He started a game in the same position where he started the last game. It's happened in just 2 instances this season. We're 11 games in. He played Celta Vigo and Getafe. He played left midfield for both of those. And Girona and Napoli, he played left back for both of those. Yeah. On no other occasion has he started a match after starting in the same position the previous match. He's either not started again or he started in a different position. You cannot build any sort of consistency like that, and especially not for such a position as holding midfielder. So he's got this gift where he can play anywhere, but like by being able to play anywhere, you kind of play nowhere, and you just hope like at some point, and we kind of felt like, at least I did, that left midfield was going to be his position this season. Yeah. And even still, you know, he's playing in defensive midfield, he's playing at left back. It's just let him play a few games in a row in one place and he'll be 100% of himself, which I think we all know is like insane.
I say this often. When you're so good at so many things, you get punished for it. Yeah. Like, it's a bit of a curse. Yeah.
Saul at Atletico.
Yeah.
Ruined his career, I think, being so good at so many positions.
Yeah.
He ended up with no position. And just Camavinga's too good for that to happen. But like, we're starting to see like he's getting moved around too much. It's too much.
This also goes back to the way you constructed the squad in the summertime. Yeah. When you're thin in certain positions and you have a player who can play multiple positions, you're like, okay, well, that's my safety net. Anytime I need to shift him in and out of that position, I can. But the funny thing is, actually, with left back, we're not really in that situation because we have Fran Garcia.
2 healthy left backs on the bench.
Yeah.
When he's playing. Yeah.
So I've been asking everyone this. I haven't asked you yet. If all of Mendy, Fran Garcia, and Camavinga are healthy against Barca, which one does Ancelotti trust the most? At left back.
Monday.
Yeah?
I think
Over
so.
Camavinga?
I think for a game like that, where I think it depends on the game, which is a sitting on the fence answer, but I think Ancelotti thinks Monday is his best lockdown defensive option, and for a big Champions League game or Clasico, I think he would go for Monday.
Do you think the reason for Fran Garcia's demotion, I guess, for lack of a better word, is because of his defense, or?
I think so. So I looked at the stats of this since the derby, which I think we can all admit he was poor. I mean, not entirely his fault. Many players were poor, but he was particularly struggling on that side. He played 30 minutes off the bench against Las Palmas, and then 3 games in a row, 0 minutes. I think it's a clear sort of punishment from the derby. But the thing I would point out to people as well is I think everyone kind of assumed Fran Garcia is a starter, and now he's been demoted to third choice left back. Not really the start of the season. I think he wasn't, in Ancelotti's eyes, a starter. I think Monday was a starter and Fran Garcia was the backup. Monday was injured. So Fran Garcia played all these games. It seemed like he was a starter. And I think Ancelotti's plan was always when Monday came back, Fran Garcia was demoted a little. And now that he's had a bad game, Monday's come back, Camavinga played a couple of good games there. And I think that's hurt Fran Garcia even more. But I don't think it's a drop from first choice to third choice. I think it's he was always going to be second choice for Ancelotti. I think Ancelotti rates Monday when he's healthy, and right now it seems, touch wood, he is actually fairly healthy to play at least once a week.
This is also, we think, Ancelotti's last season at Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of people who, including me, Lucas is very adamant about this, that Fran Garcia needs to develop. I think it's a hard balance between, okay, we need to win now. We got no margin of error. We can't be patient with everybody. We have Barca coming up, Sevilla coming up. Even though Sevilla are not what they used to be, it's still Sevilla at Sanchez Pizjuan. You can't write them off.
Yeah.
And couple that with Ancelotti's last season.
Yeah.
I don't think Ancelotti's thinking okay, I really think these minutes for Fran Garcia are valuable 4 years from now.
Yeah.
I think he's just dude, we gotta win. This is Real Madrid. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't be coddling players right now.
No, that's true.
But I think Fran Garcia's been fine. I defensively, he was poor against Atletico. Everyone was poor.
Yeah.
And offensively, I think he's been encouraging. So I guess we'll just monitor it. For now, Fran Garcia has lost some trust. What other talking points?
I mean, we usually go through chronologically. We've kind of done the lineup, and we're moving from back to front. So I guess now we get towards Modric. I think at this point, which was interesting, just how deep he was. When he's played this season, he's often come in for Bellingham when he's playing as the tip of the diamond. This one, he was so deep. I saw a few people linking it. Oh, he was playing the Pirlo role today. I was like, I don't really think it was that, because he was so close to Camavinga. The way I described it was the Khedira and Xavi Alonso, where you had one guy to do the dirty work to win the ball back, and then you had one guy to ping the long ball passes, and that was Modric was Xavi Alonso, Camavinga was Khedira, and they were basically a double pivot at points, which was kind of interesting to see. And Modric, playing some of these long balls, 12 long balls he attempted, 9 he completed in this game. He was playing from deep, was getting further forward in the second half, and I think came out with a point to prove for this one.
We're talking about, we didn't really talk about the actual goals. We just talked about the fact that Bellingham scores a lot of them, but Modric was instrumental in the first goal.
He's the one that probably does the most, and he doesn't get the goal or the assist.
It's a great pass. It's great work from Carvajal too in the right half space. It's a great composed finish from Bellingham, of course.
Yeah.
Right before that, and I haven't seen in replay, this is obviously a disadvantage of being in the stadium, as you know less than people watching at home. Camavinga, I think, got fouled in the build-up. And,
no, it was a foul, but they played advantage,
Yeah.
Just as well. And Modric, smarter than everyone. I think half of the Osasuna players were thinking it might be a free kick, and they play advantage, and Modric, continues playing and can pick out that pass when Osasuna are maybe a little bit sleeping. Maybe they're not, but,
Yeah. The second goal that Bellingham scored, they were all brilliant, but the second one was very interesting because you rewind it like seconds prior to the goal was scored, and Bellingham's like pretty deep in the left half space, and he has like 6 Osasuna players in that defensive line.
Yeah.
And there's not like, you wouldn't think like 7 seconds later it's a goal. He does really well in that tight space to find his way through, find Fede, and I thought Fede does an amazing job of finding Jude, and Jude scoring from there, obviously, because it's Jude Bellingham right now, and he's on fire. But that leads to another talking point that we haven't talked about yet, is I thought Fede Valverde was great. Working really hard defensively, sprinting back, winning these balls that you don't even think, like, he's not even close to initially. Always long bursting runs with the ball, without the ball. He had 5 key passes tonight, the most of anyone on the field. Sets up, I think he had 2 assists? No, 1.
1, I think.
Yeah, it was just the Jude one. No, the Vinicius one. 2 assists.
Vinicius one.
The breakaway.
Ah, yeah, true.
Yeah. So he was fantastic tonight. I think he is back to his best. I know he's not scoring like he did before the World Cup, but from the way he's affecting multiple facets of the game right now, he's.
But I always think the goals that we saw this time last season were like a bonus. Like, that's not really like supposed to be his game. That was an extra. And he's playing, he just did what he did against Napoli. It wasn't his goal, but like,
should have been. I hate
like,
that rule.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. But like, that's what we've seen from Fede. There's long range shooting, and it provokes goals if it's not his goal even in the end. But his general play is like he's back to his best. He's probably the one, if you look at, because it kind of goes back to the Camavinga, Tchouameni, all the rotation. I think he's the one that has the most trust right now from Ancelotti, because like he's assuring pretty much every game, unless he's been rested, for starting on the right of midfield. He's the one player who's playing same position every single week. What Camavinga at the left midfield, I think in the ideal 11, that's where you have it. He doesn't have that. So like, if we could just give Camavinga the consistency Fede Valverde is getting, maybe we would say the same kind of thing. But like, you can't criticize Fede Valverde for being given the consistency and good conditions. He's making the most of it. So
yeah. No, he's been great. And then the third goal, Camavinga wins the ball.
Yep.
And Fede just lightning quick. He knew what to do before he even got it. Just great pass to Vinicius, who rounds the keeper.
Yeah. No, I mean, so at this point I was already writing a bit about Vinicius and the right back of Osasuna, Areso. I was really surprised they put him, because like he's their third choice right back, and they put him against Vinicius. He's their youngest right back by a long way, and I was like, okay, I guess they're going for someone who has the pace to maybe keep with Vinicius.
Yeah.
And I was writing about it because in the first hour, like, Areso did a pretty good job. Vinicius wasn't getting past them, like he wasn't really making much happen. But this game, when the game broke down, Vinicius really just started to like stand next to David Garcia, the older centre back, who he's going to beat in a duel every single time. And Areso kind of started to not stay with Vinicius as much. He's covered, but he is my guy. And Vinicius, just by going a bit more central, basically that's how he gets the goal and the assist. The goal, he's right there. He's going up against David Garcia, who has absolutely no chance. And you even see from one of the camera angles behind the goal, when the ball comes to Vinicius and he's up against David Garcia, you see Areso, who's in a different position, more attacking, because Osasuna are chasing the game, and he just raises his hands like, oh no, like that's supposed to be my guy, but like he's going to beat David Garcia every time. He does. And then when he pulls the miraculous touch to bring the ball down for the fourth goal, is David Garcia, who's the centre back closest to Vinicius. He's too good for that, and he can lay it off for the goal. So like, Vinicius was kind of kept quiet for the first hour, but was exactly the kind of player we spoke about. Real Madrid in general being so good at making the most of space, counter-attacking when the game breaks down, when the other team has to chase it. Like, Vinicius is kind of like the exemplification of that. Like, he's the one that makes all this space just so dangerous if you're chasing the game against Real Madrid.
The control for the assist was amazing. Yeah. The way he brought that ball down, the way he just kept the ball at his feet and then played Joselu through was really impressive. Yeah. Did you see Ancelotti's quotes after the game about the penalty takers? Yeah,
so that was strange. Like, I mean, so he said earlier this season that his order would be Joselu, then Modric, but it depends on who's on the pitch, because sometimes neither of them are on the pitch. when the penalty happened, Joselu was on the pitch, Modric wasn't, so no controversy. But then he was asked in the press conference, kind of looked like a few of the players were saying maybe give it to Rodrigo, boost his confidence. And then the second time he was asked about it, he said, I told Rudiger to tell them to let Rodrigo take it, which I thought was a strange line because he'd already been asked and he said, no, today the penalty taker was Joselu. So he kind of changed, I don't know.
So I was thinking about this because I don't know if the camera was showing it necessarily, but when the penalty is won, and I think they were doing a check maybe on VAR, I don't know, just to double check or whatever. Joselu just takes the ball like as if he's going to take it. Brahim comes over and talks to him, and I don't know what they were talking about, obviously, but later you kind of see some kind of like messages being passed down. Then Rudiger does go over and talk to Joselu, and then Joselu just takes it. I don't know, like this doesn't matter. It was 4-0, but just as more of a general
I think it does
point.
matter though because like they keep missing penalties, so like
it matters more if it's a bigger occasion when you really need to score and you don't know who's taking the penalty.
Like Celta Vigo when they missed it and then Bellingham popped up and they won anyway. But like that could have been.
Who took that one? Was it Rodrigo?
That was Rodrigo, I think. The Getafe one, which then got overturned, was the one where there was another kind of strange Ancelotti quote where he'd said Joselu was ahead of Modric, but Modric was holding the ball, and then he said in the press conference afterwards, no, that was a trick because we wanted them to annoy Modric, and then he would pass it off to Joselu. Like, you know, the kind of way in like a World Cup semi-final where they try and get in the guy's head, and then like they pass it over. This was like a home game against Getafe in match day 4. Like, I don't really think you had to overthink it that much. Just give it to Joselu and like, you know. Anyway, I mean, I think Joselu probably is in Ancelotti's mind the first choice taker, but he's taken one and missed one now. So
what are the numbers like for their careers? Could you say it off the top of your head? Like who of the squad we have now?
I looked at this like when like way early in the season. I think actually in pre-season when someone missed a penalty. Vinicius missed a penalty in pre-season. I looked at it then to be like, okay, now that Benzema's gone, who have we got? And what I found was the best percentage was Modric. The problem is that Modric isn't always going to be in the pitch.
Right.
Probably rarely, given what we've seen the last few weeks.
I mean, Modric's track record is great, obviously. With Croatia too. Kroos is another one.
Yeah. But again, a little bit like the kind of Camavinga thing, completely different. But like, I think you want to give it to someone who's going to be taking like them semi-regularly.
I just care about who's going to score. Like, remember when Ramos was doing it for us? I was like, this is fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, he was scoring. Like, and he was on the pitch. But that's the thing is, he was
on the field every game.
The candidates are like Joselu, Modric, Kroos is another one that's up there with a good percentage. Rodrigo is there, although his percentage isn't actually very good. Vinicius' percentage isn't actually very good, but he's going to be on the pitch a lot. But I don't really think he's really in contention. So if you're looking at the top takers, it's a few guys who are probably not always going to be on the pitch. So it is a problem, I think. Like, and I think you want someone who's getting into the sort of the routine, the like muscle memory of taking penalties. Sure. And to me, Joselu's probably going to play more minutes than Modric, score more goals than Modric. So I think you persist with Joselu, but it's a shame he missed this one because I think if he scores this one today, he puts this question completely to bed. But he didn't.
I have a question though. Why hasn't, like, what about Jude Bellingham? Well, I've never seen him take a penalty, so I don't. And I don't know unless
I feel like he would. He has that.
I would assume he can put that in the back of the net, unless like there's some secret like penalty thing in training that we don't know about. And he's like 0 for 200. He's like the worst penalty shooter of all time, which I doubt.
I mean, maybe they start to look at this. I mean, I can't remember seeing Bellingham take a penalty for Dortmund, England. Like even penalty shootouts. Like I don't know if he's been in one. Like I really don't know if he's taken one. We can look this up and see for next time. But I mean, like,
kind of makes
why
sense.
not? Like, you feel like he's the kind of guy that goes up and you feel like he's going to score. Joselu's been playing really well, but like he's scoring a lot of goals, but he's also missing a lot of chances. So when he went up to take it, I was really like, oh, okay. Real Madrid have missed the last few penalties. It's Sergio Herrera who now has the last 4 penalties he's faced against Real Madrid. None of them have been scored.
Really?
It's hilarious. He saved. Remember the one he saved 2 in the same game against Benzema?
Oh, that was him, right?
So he saved 3 now, and 1 hit the woodwork of the last 4 penalties he's faced against Real Madrid.
You saw the banter that was happening after.
Yeah. That was quite fun.
And everyone at the Bernabeu just start swearing, and they go cuatro. Like, dude, you just conceded 4 goals. Why are you talking?
And then
shit?
he apologized, and it didn't work. Like
I couldn't see. I just saw him like.
He then kind of went and did the like. Yeah, like, you know, he's like pumped up. I don't know if you saw him last week against Alaves, but he's a strange character. They say you have to be a bit crazy to be a goalkeeper. That was one where he like basically like went off crying because like his like socks were too tight, and he had a fit at the goalkeeper and had to be subbed off because he was just like too crazy out of his mind. He's an interesting guy. So keep that in mind when you see Joselu miss that the hardest penalty for a Real Madrid player to score is against Sergio Herrera.
I didn't see a replay of the penalty. Did he shoot it at the keeper?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, luckily for Real Madrid, it was 4-0 at that point. We got to go. Any concluding thoughts?
Not really. I mean, international break again. Real Madrid are top. I mean, like 6 points from 6 in Champions League, 24 points from 27 in La Liga. Like, the team's playing pretty well. This was maybe the best performance so far. After, if not this one, the Napoli one. If not that one, the Girona one. Like, your top 3 of performances for the season were probably the last 3. Like, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you go into the international break pretty happy and hoping for no injuries, as always.
One last question. What is your opinion on this Vichy Catalan?
Oh, I'm not a fan.
No?
Nah, it's not good.
It's hit or miss. I love it. We can't get this in Canada.
Really?
So I go through at least 2 bottles.
Can you bring it back? I mean, it's a heavy thing.
No, I can't. Yeah. I can't bring liquids. Yeah. I mean, but I go through 2 a day in Spain.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. Great. One office I used to work in, like,
it's
had
the
that
salt.
on.
I enjoy the salt.
Yeah, they had that on like supply everywhere. Just could never get used to it.
Mm. Well, there you have it.
There's the big questions.
You guys try it next time you're in Spain, Vichy Catalan. It doesn't exist in North America, not that I've seen anyway. Euan, thanks for hosting. It was great to do this again. It's been a while since we had a podcast here at your house together, just like old times. So
yeah.
Thanks for hosting, and thanks for listening. We'll be back on Monday. Lucas and I will record a podcast. And in the meantime, please go over to patreon.com/Managing Madrid or YouTube memberships, because a ton of bonus content every week over there, including live calls, mailbags, post-game shows for the Champions League games, etc. Euan, thanks.
No problem.
Listeners, thanks. Take care.